What happens when a high school educator stands at the intersection of justice, courage, and community and chooses to build a bridge instead of backing down? Today's guest didn't just face resistance, she transformed it into a movement. Get ready for a conversation about resilience, inclusion, and the real meaning of leadership with someone who's not afraid to get into good and necessary trouble. Enjoy the show. Welcome to Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan. I'm Dan Peters, psychologist and leadership coach. This show is all about bringing hope, connection, awareness, and wisdom through meaningful conversations that inspire us to be better versions of ourselves and have a positive impact on humanity. This is your space to pause, reflect, and reconnect with who you are, what you care about, and who you want to be. We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. Today's show, I am speaking with Elise Carter. Elise is a high school educator currently teaching business and leadership and is the co-founder and executive director of Northern Kentucky Inclusive Students in Education, known as NICE, a nonprofit educational initiative specializing in diversity, equity, and inclusion for college and career readiness. Elise has focused on DEI curriculum through her educational experiences at both the undergraduate and graduate levels. She's also a board member at the Association for Teaching Black History in Kentucky, which collaborates with public schools, community organizations, and nonprofits across the state to ensure the rich social, historical, and cultural contributions of Black Kentuckians are recognized and integrated in the teaching of both state and national history. And 2024 was a big year for Elise. She received several awards, including the Innovative Teacher Award for Northern Kentucky. She was an Upstander Award finalist for the Nancy and David Wolf Holocaust and Humanities Center and was honored with the Smith Wilson Award for Civil and Human Rights in Education by the Kentucky Education Association. And it kept going in 2025, where she has recently been awarded the 2025 Carter G. Woodson Memorial Award by the National Education Association. Elise, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You've been getting a lot of press lately.
I have.
How's
Good
that?
press
Yeah,
sometimes.
good press. How has that been for you?
It's overwhelming, especially for people to recognize the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into this work. If you would have asked me 10, 15 years ago, I would never thought I would be sitting here on a podcast with you speaking about really what like gives me breath and hope and centering in my life. So it is overwhelming, but it's reaffirming. It lets me
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm doing the right things in this world, and that people are noticing and appreciative, because it's so easy to turn on the news and be like, what in the world am I doing?
Mm-hmm. And where in the world are we going?
Man, where are we just
Yes.
in
Yes.
general? What country is this? So yeah, it
Yeah.
does, when they're like-minded individuals who are just as involved in co-conspirating with me through this process, and for them to understand the work that it takes to do this, and to be acknowledged for it, it's a great feeling, because
Mm-hmm.
it's so easily where you could be discouraged. So yeah.
Yeah. And the Carter Woodson Award,
Yeah.
the father of thought of as the father of Black history,
Yeah.
responsible for Black History Month. I mean,
Yeah.
shoulders. What shoulders to? I don't even know if this is right, to be on or now
Yes.
to carry,
To carry.
to
Yeah.
lead. I can only imagine.
Yeah. All of those things. I just think back, this actually, what, 110, 15 years ago now, that it was started by him and the work he did prior to that. And to know that, I guess it's a little heartbreaking. Like, we're still in this world. We're not much removed from where he was 110 years ago. But to still have the opportunity to carry on his legacy, and his work. And it is a hard, like, shoulders carry. I don't know if
Hmm.
he's carrying me or I'm carrying him,
Right.
however that
Right. That's what I
works.
was wondering as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it, I mean, to read his story, um, I'm heavily involved with Berea, the Association for Teaching Black History in Kentucky, and their area that we work in is the Carter G. Woodson. So it's constant reminder of him and what he did. He went to Berea College. He was actually forced out of Berea College because of the day laws in Kentucky. So that's when, Berea was one of those innovative institutions that believe in integration
Hmm.
in schools. And then the day law came and he had to go off to, I believe it was Howard, to finish his education because we no longer could be integrated in education. So to hear his story and know what I'm fighting for, still for the students in my school, for the students in my community. I always speak of my Black son and what his future holds. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's it just is.
Yes. Well, God, there's so many directions I want to go here, but something you said makes me want to take this road, which is in terms of you paving the way and all of the firsts, right, of all of these um, great leaders and activists and social justice individuals. You were the first Black teacher at your high school,
Correct.
right? And this is like 12 years ago.
Yes. Yes. So I'm yeah, 'cause yeah, 12, 13. I don't know what,
13,
you
something
get
like
into
that.
education
Yes,
and you
yes,
forget how many
yes.
years. But yeah, 2000, I started technically July 2012. That would have been the start of my contract. So the graduating class of 2013 was my first group of kids. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, a first, a
yeah.
first. It just shows us that it's never. There's still firsts. There's
They're
still
still
firsts
first.
happening in this generation and
Yeah.
century as well. Let's go back. I know that you had lots of life experiences growing up.
Hmm.
Your dad in the military,
Yeah.
moving around, and I'm really interested in what are these. When you look back on your life to what led you here, are there some of these moments or these experiences that really just imprinted on you, and or is it just a combination of all of those experiences growing up that led you on this path?
So, I mean, looking back, my husband and I actually talk about this a lot, in the sense of when you look at, like, my sister and I, we're 7 years apart. And so she didn't get the whole military experience because my dad was on the latter part of his career when she was entering school age.
I was gonna
I
say you're the
believe
older one because you
I'm
get
the
stuff
older
done.
one.
You're the firstborn, get stuff done. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, I definitely live up to all those
yeah,
um, adjectives and
yeah,
demographics and all those things. But I think all those are culminating things that made me who I am. But what I really think it advocated for me to do is to talk to people, no matter who they are. Every 3 years I was moving. And so you can't be shy and then go
hmm
to another school. And so, no matter who their background was, no matter the skin color, no matter their religious, I'm looking for friends. And so you look for the good in people to connect with. Obviously, I don't think I recognized that, in the third
hmm
grade or the seventh grade or, when I finally moved for the last time in the ninth grade. Um, but I think that's where those experiences to be able to lift up, drop down, and have to go to school and make friends, and talking to people, and loving and liking people who loved and liked me.
hmm
And so, if you've ever been on a military base, it is like very, very diverse. Experiences, religions, personalities, colors, situationships. Moms could be single, dads could be single, parents could be married, and everything in between. And so you learn to connect with people rather quickly and hold on to those connections because they're only short lived. And so you appreciate bonds. I wish Facebook and
Mm,
Instagram and all those things. I have reconnected from people from my childhood, but they're few and far between. Um, and so moving when I finally moved to the Cincinnati area, and I moved to two different high schools within a year. It was very like you got to just jump in. There's 12 feet, and you either sink in or you swim, or there's no kiddie pool. There's
mm-hmm,
no you know getting your feet wet. So I think all those life experiences, all the beauty of the world, I should say the United States. We were supposed to go to Germany and then Desert Storm happened, so we never
mm,
made it over. But just being in different places, and everyone's from different places. No one is from the base or usually that area. And so we're all yearning to go back home, but just
mm-hmm.
accepting home where we are and with the people we're surrounded by. So,
With all of those differences in that situation, that is the through line. Everyone was in the same situation.
mhm.
Did that actually bring more inclusion? That's not the word that we would have used back
Yeah.
then, but like, did that actually bring more inclusion and acceptance, or not necessarily?
I think for me, like, it was just inclusion. It's inclusive because it was inclusive.
Right.
Uh, you didn't recognize skin color, and I'm not a colorblind, so please do not
Yeah.
misconstrue my words. But like we were just friends because we were friends. It wasn't like I'm black, you're white. And so, it was everybody was new at one point, and so you just that's where your connection was. It
Mm,
wasn't that um I'm Catholic and so I have to hang over here, or I'm Muslim, or I'm black, or I'm brown, or I'm white, or whatever. It was just in a moment of we're all new and we've all been there and we all know what it's like to be the new kid. And so when the new kid comes in, you connect with them, you speak to them, you
mhm,
hear where they're from and their story, and you build friendships on that. Um, and from their backgrounds, you get perspective. My high school was probably 60-40, and so it wasn't really eye opening to me that I am the minority in a sense until I went to college, and I went
mm,
to University of Cincinnati, which is I mean, it's not a Harvard, right? Like, it's just a city school. It is diverse, probably not as much as it is now than 2000, early 2000s when I went to school, but, when you recognize you're the only one in a room or maybe a handful, it's like, "Okay, this
mhm,
is a little different because that wasn't the case throughout my
mm,
upbringing. Like, that never
yeah,
it was, if not equal, very close to it, like,
yeah.
so
Very diverse. I mean,
yes.
your military family background really was everyday experience and training for I would say the work you do, but it's from what I've learned about you, it's not just work, it's how you live, right? Like you're
It's how
doing what so many of us wish to do is bring the personal and the professional together. It's
yeah,
woven together. It's like in the fabric of your life.
yeah. I don't understand, how they can be separated,
Mhm.
how I yes, you have to be professional, especially as a school teacher, like, we can't disclose everything, but to, like, not wove into my teaching who I am, right? Because there you want
Mhm.
to build these connections, you want to build respect, and so if you don't have these conversations of like, um, where are you from, where you been, why are you
Mhm.
who you are, um, I don't know
Yeah.
how you continue to be successful.
I love the tagline of nice. For everyone, that's NISE. Be a
Yes,
nice person. I love that.
yes.
So, yes, wonderful. Great branding and such an important message. Tell us about the origin of nice and how it came to be.
Yeah, so little trauma story.
Mhm.
Still
Yeah.
probably have a little PTSD from that.
Yeah.
2020, we all know that was the year of murders, right? So Breonna Taylor was murdered, George Floyd was murdered. Trinity Walsh, who is the co-founder of NICE as well, she was a school counselor at my school. And throughout our time, we had always joked she had went to a very, white school. She's like, I can count on my hands how many Black people were in my school. And I'm like, that's a problem. And then, or like I just said about my high school, was the complete opposite. And so we look at our experiences, and one of the most, I guess for her, one of the conversations she remembers most from me, and again, just having a natural conversation, is, for brown and Black people, the talk is not sex. The talk is when you get pulled over or stopped by a cop. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, wow. And I was like, yeah, like I have to teach my son, who at this time was probably 5 or 6, I'm I'm having him purposeful in interactions with police officers. So when we go down and there's always like family tailgating in Cincinnati or the Reds game, I'm always like, say hi, and the officers are great. They wave back too. But I never want him to be scared of an officer. But I also know our reality, in a sense of preparing him for when he is either stopped or pulled over by a police officer. So, talking through that. And then at the same time, P&G did this amazing commercial called The Talk, that looked into uh, basically the experiences of Black people and what that talk means. And so going out of the house on your first date, or getting your driver's license, or going to the store, and what words and what the talk looks like in different situations. And so fast forward, that happens. And so at that point, I was having a lot of um, other educators, so my coworkers, as well as community people who I've just become friends with, and then students reach out, because I was voicing my outrage on social media. You know, good, bad, or indifferent, he didn't have to be murdered. And that call out, when he called out for his mother, is like the sound no mother, let alone a Black mother, wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, so those conversations we're having, and so Trinity and I started having more and more conversations. We're like, why don't we see if we can form a class, like an elective? We also know the school district could work in, but hey, they were starting to have these DEI conversations as well in our district. And so we felt like it was a great time to kind of introduce, because we're a year and a half into this work. So we introduced it. In Kentucky, you have to talk to your principal, to which we did, and then you talk to what's called site-based decision making council, so SBDM. And they're made up of other educators in the school, and then parent representatives from that have students in the school you're representing. I was getting ready to go on maternity leave, because I also decided it was a good thing to have a baby during COVID.
Yep.
And
And
so
you needed a girl. You needed a daughter.
I needed a girl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we presented it right before. SBDM was on board. My principal was on board. We had, mentioned it to our superintendent, and she was excited, explained to everyone in our work within the district that this was happening. And then come like February, Trinity reaches out and goes, hey, I'm hearing rumblings. Like there's some fear. Well, so you got the end of December into January, CRT becomes a word or a phrase, or evidently what I was doing and every person was doing in their classroom. And so we're Googling it, and I'm like, is this what they're saying? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if it is, I get where they're coming from, in a sense of like, it's too old, because it is. It is a law thing.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, high school teacher. This is above my pay grade. But in law school, like, great. That, like, if that's what they're doing, I think that's awesome. It should be taught. Righteous, right on to those professors. And so, but it was like, no, we're not doing it. So we're like, hey, if you know education at all, we usually don't write a syllabus. We usually don't plan out until like 3 weeks before school starts. And so we're up all night at that point doing it. So Trinity and I was like, hey, let's create a working syllabus. Like, we know what our description is going to be. At this point, we're talking to different professors at Northern Kentucky University. We're talking to the University of Cincinnati, because they're highly engaged in DEI work. We're reaching out to other schools across the nation who is also engaged in this work. So by this time, we have at least a course description and an objective. So it's really the work. So from both of our ends, like, oh, I read this article, we're throwing it in there. Oh, I like this, we're throwing that in there. Can working, highlighted, bold, red at the top, working syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
So by, I probably say the end of March, someone on the SBDM council leaked our working syllabus. And yes, there were things in there probably
This
in
is high level stuff. Like you're
yeah,
getting your work is getting leaked. It's like,
yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, and again, working syllabus, red,
Yeah.
yellow, highlight,
Yeah.
bold. Like, I mean, if
Yeah.
I could flash it, I would have, but you can't do that on Word, at least at the time. So, it gets leaked. Um, there are people in our community that are literally printing it and then putting them in mailboxes across our
Mm,
town,
wow.
saying like, this is what's being taught at Highlands. It's like, no, these were resources that A, we were going to use, or B, like cut out, or C, yes, we were going to use it. But it was just like basically a dumping ground, because any working syllabus is a dumping ground. It was not final. We were nowhere
Mm-hmm.
near it. So, anyways, it gets out. And so then people are now emailing my superintendents or emailing my principal. They're also emailing Northern Kentucky University calling for my resignation, that they should let me go because I'm teaching all this CRT that,
Yeah.
again,
Critical
was not
race theory, everyone. CRT,
yes,
critical race theory. Yep.
critical race theory
Yep.
CRT.
Yep.
So, um, so those emotions go through. It's now the end of April, beginning of May, and we have our monthly SBDM meeting. And at that point, it's a conversation of, does this class run? Because by the way, we've already had it in our um, class, like our class offerings. We've had students sign up. We had, I believe, I'm not quoting, I'm not saying this is like end all be all, but I think there was like 19 kids signed up and like another 20 to 25 that if their first choice wasn't available, that was going to be their second choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, already a class of 20, which in any teacher will tell you less than 25 is like perfection. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're right about there. And so we end up, SVM meetings usually have two parents show up and they last like, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This one had 200 people ish show up. We had to move from the library
Whoa.
to the auditorium to hold everybody.
Mm.
And the public comment was a spectacle. I had Martin Luther King used against me on not judging people by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. And I'm like, okay, this is a first. Never had that used against me. And so, yeah, it was like tears because I was heartbroken because I felt my school district wasn't standing up for me.
Mm-hmm.
B, it put people that I loved and coworkers that I loved in a hard situation to which I also felt like they're walking away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ultimately turned out this class was not running. So I felt very isolated. I felt like you talk about judging someone by their character. Like at this point,
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 8, 9 years of teaching, and I've given my heart and my soul to my program and building this program. That you should know me, and I am not indoctrinating. Your
Mm-hmm.
kids. It's like the joke of I can't get them to bring their homework in, let alone indoctrinating them to think something that they don't want to think. And so it was hard. It felt like for a moment, what am I doing here? Because um, no one is standing up for me, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Turning point.
it was the turning point. It really was. And so Trinity and I spent about a month and a half, lots of tears, lots of drinks, lots of
Mm-hmm.
long walks, long walks on a round up here near Newport, Kentucky, and just walking and kind of decompressing and where do we want to go? This can end. Like we gave it the good college try. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can walk away and say, like we really did try to bring this work, or we can do a nonprofit. And I am a business educator. I can tell you all
You
the
are
paperwork
right. This
that
is what you
goes.
do. Yeah.
I can tell you everything that goes into starting a business, but I've never started a business. And so we're like, okay, so let's do this. But then who's going to be on our board? So then it's like the Googling of like everything. Okay, so we need board members. How many do we need? Who do we invite? Are these people like? And so started off with two other people. who also worked in our district, and then it's grown. I think we have 9 board members now.
Mm.
But our goal and our mission and our vision, if you ask me, now we all have different intersectionalities in this work, right? Like, I am very much pro brown and black, and I'm going to do everything for that history. We have board members whose children are experiencing um, hate because they are trans or LGBTQ, and so that's their life work or whatever it might be. But mine is brown and black intersectionalities, and I am looking for co-conspirators. I no
Hmm.
longer want allies. I'm good on the allies. I got all those
Yep.
like great accomplices. Got those two. I'm looking for people who are going to, whenever my children cannot step on their soapbox because the world has put them in a spot
Hmm.
where the world, think they shouldn't be, that not only do my kids know, my children, the ones I've given birth to, but the people that I hope to surround them by and those that they surround themselves by will be co-conspirators and jump in front of and say no,
Hmm.
pause, and give an opportunity for that breath to be spoken by my children. And so that is actually my work now, is and not only for brown and black, but for all marginalized groups, whether
Hmm.
from your sexuality to your religion to your economic status. Like, I am here to advocate and be a co-conspirator, because there are places where I am. I can use my voice. I do have privilege. And so, sorry, my children are coming in. And so
That
I'm trying
was
to keep
that was
them
such
okay.
that was half parent, half teacher right there. I saw the look and the snap. Everyone, if you're not watching this, you're just listening. Brilliant. It was brilliant. And you know what? I can't see them, but I know they just like went right away.
They
They just kind of
vanished
like
away.
they saw. So these are like your work is preparing people for the world we live in.
Hmm.
And but preparing people to be critical thinkers,
Yes.
preparing people to be open-minded,
Yes.
preparing people to understand perspective,
Absolutely.
and teaching people to dialogue and to accept differences, right?
Hmm.
Because it's all about differences. We're all different. I mean, even
Oh,
within our own religions, cultures, races, ethnicities, there's so many differences within, and
yes.
everything gets so simplified
Hmm.
with us, them,
Yeah.
like you're in or you're out, and
Yeah.
it just gets so oversimplified. So, what have you found? Like, what are some of the things that you have found open people up? Because, obviously, I mean, you talk about 2020 and all of the difficulty and the tragedies of 2020, and life has just continued at a global level, on a
Hmm.
national level, on a local level, um, in a place where sides are dug in.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more important now than how do we bring us all together one by one?
Yeah. And so my new venture this past year is food. I think food is a great avenue
I love
to
food.
have. I love food. You love food. I love food. Most people love food, right? And one way I have tried is to use food as the starter for conversation. And so in February, we did a basically conversation on roots and how Black food has shaped America, and where is the history and how did that food get here, and the transatlantic slave. And so if you understand that, then you can appreciate those differences, and appreciate where we come from. And it's not, like you said, digging our heels in. The facts are the facts. Like, we eat sweet potatoes because they come from yams from Africa. And so when enslaved people came, they had to find the next best thing. And that's what it was. And their cousins and the history and how it, ultimately got here. And so we are starting to realize that people, even in places that may not want to have these conversations, love food, and they're at least willing to have topics of conversation around food and the history of that food. And so that's one way for
Mhm,
those difficult conversations
mhm.
to have. We're doing one, I'm working right now with Hispanic Heritage Month, and meeting a small business. I always want to do small business and amplify their voices as well, and especially marginalized small businesses. And so we're working with two organizations. I don't know which one is going to come through, but one in Cincinnati, one over in Covington, to kind of do the same with Hispanic Heritage Month. There's a lot I don't know. I do know I love Mexican-inspired foods,
As do I.
but
Yeah.
but to learn that history and who they are as
Mhm,
a culture, like, I'm, like, really excited because that's just an area of,
mhm,
knowledge that I just don't have. And so it's trying to find where can we meet at the middle to have those conversations, and they're
mhm,
hard, and that's what I want people to know is that these conversations are hard, right?
mhm,
Like,
mhm.
if they were easy, they wouldn't be taboo.
Right.
But we have to make them happen so that they're not taboo. And
Mhm.
in the end, if you still believe what you believe, that's fine, but at least you gave it a chance and an opportunity to learn something new. Um, and not
Yeah.
only that for you, but if you're a school teacher, if you're an employee in the workforce, if you're a manager, now you have a better sense of understanding for the people who are in your classroom, who you're working next to, and who's working for you.
Mhm,
And then that's that empathy piece,
mhm.
right? It's
Yes.
baby steps to
Right.
broader conversation.
And I think, yes, on empathy, and I have found before some can get to empathy, it's curiosity. And I
Mhm,
know when I have to check myself, when I'm feeling strong feelings towards another viewpoint, or I am making an assumption about another's viewpoint, maybe by something that I'm seeing or um, assuming,
mhm.
it's really hard, but very possible to ask a question with curiosity and no preconceived judgment or answer. Like literally a curious question.
Yeah.
And something that, in conversations that I have had on the show and off, that has really resonated with me is understanding that every person and every parent, if there are a parent and a person, we all have our pain points. We all have our fear points. Whatever side we're on or whatever viewpoint side we're on, it's because of a fear, it's because of a lived experience.
Mhm,
It's valid
mhm.
even if it's we don't agree with it or
Correct.
we haven't experienced it. So how what have you found with this notion of, like, have you worked with curiosity?
Yeah. So I have given presentations and had conversations with educators mostly, but with community leaders. And I talk about we make um, 7 impressions on someone, the 11 seconds that we meet them. Like, we've already judged them. That is like innate in us. It has nothing to do whether I'm brown or you're white or you like this religion or that. Like, that is what has just through evolution we have received from our ancestors to be able to do that. Now, what we do with those is the question. So I've already made, say, judgments or misconceptions or ideas about you, but now I can ask questions to spark my curiosity and do it respectfully, right? I might notice something and then just, hey, like, I notice, and start with, I'm not at all meaning to be disrespectful, and if I am, please know my heart. Like, I always tell people, like, please know my heart. My heart is such in a good place, but I'm also a learner and I'm a lifelong learner. And I know if I know better, I do better. And so I start with that. And it's like, I noticed something. Can you help me understand?
Mhm,
And I feel that way when people come up to me. Why do you believe this? Why do you say this? Why are you working towards this? And I can give you my whys. My whys will never be your whys. It never will be, and that can be from another brown person or to another black person, and vice versa. My whys may never be your whys, and that's okay,
mhm,
right? Civil
mhm,
discourse is okay, but if we understand that our judgments, our fears are valid, and want to do better,
Mm-hmm.
then I think we can come to a middle ground and both of us having conversations to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just have to be willing and know that your feelings might be hurt, potentially other person's feelings might hurt, but know their heart, right? Because I
Yeah.
don't sugarcoat. I tell my kids all the time, I'm not Willy Wonka. I don't sugarcoat
You're not
anything.
Willy Wonka.
I am not Willy
Yeah.
Wonka.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
and when I come in with these conversations with adults, I am not Willy Wonka. I'm here to give you my perspective, my experiences, what I hope for the future, my whys.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you readings, and I try to make light of it because
Yeah.
it is hard. But if you can bring humor and not humor that makes fun of other groups, but like lighthearted humor, like I
Mm-hmm.
tell jokes about my husband and my kids and my students in our conversations because I'm always like, you can ask me anything. Now I'm not going to go and talk about it to anyone in school, but do believe I'm going to go home and tell my husband, like, can you believe? And they just
Mm-hmm.
laugh because
Yeah.
but know that I'm a safe space. I am a space where you can come in and ask those hard questions and not be judged. And I think everybody just ultimately has to be in that position.
It
Otherwise,
reminds
what are you doing?
Right. Well, it reminds me of a quote I heard on the video about your award. You said, "I tell them if you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to give them an honest answer."
I
Right.
am.
So
Yeah.
you're going to do it. And I also think part of your attraction is your warmth. Um, like you're coming in with authenticity and openness, and earnestness. And I think that even some people who might try to stay away or find the content threatening might have some difficulty with you because
Yes.
of the way you shine. For those of you who are just listening, like Elise has a shine to her
Oh,
and
thank
a
you.
warmth. Um, and it brings me to like who you are,
Hmm.
because you had a pivotal moment. I mean, there's I'm sure been several pivotal moments in your life, but as you talk about everything that was going on in 2020, which led to the power and the purpose of your work, which then
Hmm.
led to the leaked document and all of the political drama and fallout and then cancel of what you and your partner were attempting to do.
Hmm.
You had a choice,
Yeah.
and it created an opportunity for you. I think this is what's also so interesting is not only who you are, but these doors close in our lives, or
Hmm.
they seemingly close. The doors we think we're supposed to walk through
Hmm.
close. And
Absolutely.
there's devastation because there's attachment to that path that we have been on. And interestingly, you now have your own nonprofit business with
Hmm.
wonderful supportive people, and you have now more flexibility, control, and creativity than you ever would have had, needing to understandably in many respects like comply to the system that you were teaching in.
That's
Aren't you?
beautiful. Absolutely. Yes. And the door closes, window opens kind of thing. I
Mhm.
I absolutely wholeheartedly everything you said is absolutely correct. We would have been um um hand tied
Mhm.
to make sure, lesson plans, what are you going to say? Like I envision that to have been the case. And now I don't answer to anyone but board members, and they're like, we trust whatever you're doing. No one said anything. The kids are happy. They're advocating. They're leading. They're doing all the things we had forever hoped for. And so, yes, I have more flexibility than I probably would have ever had they said yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
growing up on bases and moving around all the time and meeting new people and new teachers and new communities, new geographies, you have you had to develop resilience through
Mhm.
all of these experiences.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, even after all of those years of living as you, what new things did you learn about yourself as you came through the other side, and then co-founded Nice?
Wow, I've never been asked that. Uh, I think how strong I really am. Um, like my parents always raised me like, you don't need a guy and you're going to educate yourself and you don't need this, you can do it all by yourself. But when you actually have to like showcase that you can do more than what you believe in, and there's still battles, right? There's still people who send us emails and say things at school boards and write things on or on social media, right? It never ends. It's not as frequent as it was before, but it never
Mhm.
ends. And I think the resilience in me to know, like, I mean, there's times like still where I'm like, what are we doing? Whoa, like I have to take the panic attack starts to rise. And it's like, I've luckily have surrounded myself with women of all color. I just think there's such power in women to push forward and be um, my backbone in times where I don't feel I have one, but also like recognizing my vulnerability in that I am not perfect and the humility that comes with that. Um, I think those two, like
Mm,
how strong and how much humility I've had to have over the last 4 years is really,
mm,
really the characteristics um, that I've noticed over
mhm,
since that class. Like I always had the leadership skills, that's why I chose business. I was going to do
mhm,
law, chose
mm,
business.
mm.
CRT wouldn't have been an issue if I would have chose law.
Yeah, right, right.
So I mean, I chose business for a reason, and then I went in and get into teaching to make better people. And so I think that was always my goal. Is I've always had that leadership, but the strength
Mhm,
to like when everything is being thrown at you and you're being humiliated
mhm.
in public eye, and to
Yeah,
come away from that stronger,
yeah.
like, and then the humility of like, I can't do this by myself.
Mhm,
And like I said, strong women who help me, my husband, when, all the doors are closed and the curtains are closed, I can like
yeah.
be vulnerable. And, he constantly tells me you're doing the right thing, right?
Mhm,
Like, you are doing this, you're continuing this work because it's necessary. And people are starting to
mhm,
recognize your work, and that just reinforces who you are as a person.
mm.
So,
Behind every great woman, is a great man, right? It goes
yes,
it goes both ways. So
yes,
shout out to your husband for all that
yes, yeah,
support.
yeah.
Um, I think when I think of that humility and what you went through, what I only can imagine, a fraction is it's like when we're brought to our knees, like
Hmm.
literally brought to our knees, figuratively and
Literally.
literally, right? Um, there's something there's something that happens when we get back up and start to put ourselves back together again. It's like
Hmm.
it changes us in ways that you can't really put words to. And I think humility is a good word to
Hmm.
put that to. And um, it's sort of like when you feel like everything's been taken from you. And again, for everyone has their own, most people have their own version of what that is. It's also this feeling of like, that happened and I'm still here.
Hmm.
Like it almost is like, I if I could survive that, I can survive anything.
Absolutely.
And the other thing that you're making me think of is the idea of strength
Hmm.
and how many people are taught, um, both genders, or all genders, I should
Oh,
say,
gender.
all
Yes,
genders,
yes, yes.
excuse
We're
me.
still learning. We're
Yes,
still
yes,
learning. Know my
all
heart.
yes, yes, thank you. All genders, that being strong is doing it alone.
Hmm.
Um, and that's not true,
It's
right?
not.
As you learn, like strength is reaching out. Strength
Yeah.
is vulnerability.
Yeah.
Strength is asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah. I. Yeah. I mean, because I couldn't do this work because there's a whole lot of people in the background, right? I get to like tell my story and do all the things that I love and travel, but there are people in the background that if I called right now would be in my house in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who like continue to make this a possibility, not only with me, but with Nice. And yeah, it really takes a village. It's not even like raising a family that takes a village. Like
Mm-hmm.
things like this
Yeah.
um, take a village to do.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, no. Strength is not doing it by yourself. Um, because I would have gave up a long time ago. I would have gave up a long time ago.
As a leader and as a teacher of
Hmm.
leadership,
Hmm.
what would you say your approach to leadership is? Like, what are the core values of how you lead?
Example is really big for me. Not only my personal example, but getting kids out in the community and learning, right? The textbook's the easiest way, and it makes it pretty. And that, it's, easy peasy, beautiful cover girl, and it's
Mhm,
not. Not everyone can be a leader. And we all have leadership traits in us, but not everyone can facilitate other people. I think there's a difference between facilitation and leadership, and I think that's the economy we're growing into. Is that I'm not telling you what to do, I'm facilitating opportunities for you to showcase what you're doing. And for me, that's the example I want to set for students. I don't want to walk the walk, I just don't want to talk the talk. I want to do both. In that way, if you hear about me, you're like, yeah, that's Mrs. Carter. Like she
mhm,
definitely showcases that in the classroom and who she is. And I'm not surprised she's out in the world doing what she's doing.
mhm,
Um, so like those are, I have really moved away from the traditional education of sit and get. Like I'm not lecturing.
mhm,
I'm going to facilitate opportunities of discussion, and then you're creating something that shows me what you learned. Right? You're
mhm,
going to take ownership,
mhm,
and you're going to take that leadership into showcasing to me that you got the concept. Um,
mhm,
I'm very much a sink or swim. And I never let anyone sink. Let me be clear. But I think there's some like, oh my gosh, right? Like,
mhm,
if I give a 6-week project, these students do not realize 6 weeks goes really quick. And then they get to two
mhm,
weeks and are panicking a little bit. And I'm like, you're sinking a little bit. I'm going to
mhm.
give you the life vest.
Right.
But next time I tell you you have 6 weeks, I really mean to start like day one of 6 weeks, right? And so, and that's what they always come back at with, especially with
Mhm,
their internship. They're like, we waited too long. And it's like,
mhm,
yeah, so you learn, and you facilitated that learning. I didn't tell you. I said you have 6 weeks and like to go figure it out.
mhm.
And I
Yeah.
don't nag, and
Mhm,
it's so for me that's I really want them to see the real world. Your boss is not going to hold your hand. He's going to tell you this is due in 3 weeks, and whether you get it done tomorrow or 3 weeks from now, he doesn't care, or she doesn't care. They don't
mhm,
care. And so teaching them that time management is another big one.
mhm,
Advocacy, advocating for yourself,
mhm,
because no one can do it better but you.
mhm.
And then again, that facilitation piece. I would say those are the three.
I like them. I like them.
Yes.
I know you talk, and teach and quote, um, John Lewis
Oh,
quite a
I
bit,
love John Lewis.
and, so I'm gonna this is what you're doing. One of his
Yes,
famous quotes, which you quote, "I'm here to get into good trouble and necessary trouble."
absolutely.
And so share with all of us that vision. How do we continue to get into good and necessary trouble to further inclusion, to further humanity?
I think that goes back to, I'm going to bring back the co-conspirator. It's getting out, and how can you use the privilege you have been given? How can you use the pedestal you have? How can you use your voice? And whatever that is, it could be registering to vote. It could be feeding the hungry. It could be advancing opportunities for Black and Brown people. It could be going and visiting your local synagogue or your local temple or whatever it might be, and just learning and being out there with individuals who are not like you. And then standing up when you see things are not happening the way that they should. And we don't always know what they should means, but like, in your heart, like that innate sense that like something ain't right. And so
Mhm.
when something ain't right, you start to question and you go, what can I do?
Mhm.
And that's that good trouble. You're not out there like trying to, start riots, and like I'm not
Mhm.
about that, but I am about, you know, when you uh, when you see, I mean, I'm going to use the current example with ICE, and you see those individuals like literally coming in between and saying, hey, this is not right.
Mhm.
I'm not saying you have to go to that extreme, but that's an example of co-conspiratorship. They're using their body as a way to shield someone's hurt and
Mhm.
someone's pain that's going to be
Yeah.
inevitable. Um,
Yeah. Takes a lot of
it's a
courage.
it takes
It
a
takes a
lot of courage to be
lot
a
of courage.
co-conspirator,
It does.
absolutely.
It does.
And you
Yeah.
don't start there, right? Like,
No.
I didn't
Yeah.
start being a co-conspirator, like, I didn't
Yeah.
wake up, but, like, over the
Yeah.
probably last 7 years, of
Yeah.
my life, that is I'm now at the point of co-conspirator. And I
Mhm.
tell people too, I tell my students, we need all those groups. We need allies, we need accomplices, and we need co-conspirators. My husband is an ally. He will write me the check to any organization that I'm supporting at the moment and say, "Do as you will,"
Mhm.
right? That's how he supports.
Mhm.
Where I'm now out there like walking the streets and like
Yeah.
showing up and register voting. Here you should. And then I need the people who are accomplices that are online and like, are sending postcards or typing emails to their
Mhm.
senator and like asking the hard questions. Like all those people are necessary and they are important. But
Mhm.
at some point, you have to move from an ally to an accomplice to co-spirit. I'm working on my
Mm.
husband,
There you go.
but
He's moving along.
he's
I
moving
have
along.
no doubt. I have no doubt you'll be successful.
I
Moving.
will. I'll drag
Yeah.
him out
Yeah.
kicking and
Yeah. Yeah.
screaming. But that's what
Yeah.
you have to, you just don't
Mhm.
spend your whole life in kindergarten or first grade. Eventually, you have to go to 12th, and eventually, you
Yeah.
have to go to post secondary, whether that's training or
Yeah.
on a job, or like
Mhm.
you have to take that next step. And that's what I want people to understand. And it doesn't have to be anything like war fighting. It could be registering people to vote. That is
Mhm.
co-conspiratorship, right? You're
Yeah.
getting out and you're doing something, and it's
Yeah.
not behind a screen, and it has nothing to do with writing a check. It's the
Yeah.
doing. It's the verb. I want to support.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
From ally to accomplice to co-conspirator.
Yeah.
That's the journey. That's the
Yes.
journey for everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, Elise, like so again, you exude this goodness and hope,
Yeah.
because and with action, change comes with action, and
Yeah.
that's what you are teaching, and that's what you're out there doing, and that's what
Mhm.
you're getting your students to do, like
Yeah.
actually experience it and have the conversations and do the work
Yeah.
while learning to be solid, upstanding, responsible citizens getting ready to be productive in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because the workplace looks more like me than it
Hmm.
does you.
Hmm.
And it's sometimes hard to see, especially as we go global. The world's not getting any smaller.
No, no,
So you have to be
no.
able to work with people who are not always like you. And again, ask those hard questions, but be open and honest with yourself to be able to receive those responses. So
Yes. Well, thank you for the conversation and
yeah,
for everything you're doing and for inspiring others to do the same.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell everyone where to find Nice and anything else you want them to know.
Oh, that's great. So you can find us on our website, www.niceNISENKY.org. We are on Facebook, Nice NKY. We are on Instagram, excuse me, and that's Nice NISE underscore NKY. We do have what I call Tickety Talk. I don't Tickety Talk, but yes, we do have a TikTok page, and that's also Nice NKY. Yeah, and so those are all the things. Follow us, see all the great things where our students are doing. We don't really like to showcase the adults. We want the kids to see other kids to see themselves in our students, and want to join and be a part of. And if you feel so inclined, we always take donations. We are 100% volunteer. Nobody takes a paycheck. So everything we do goes back into our students and our community. So yeah, that's us.
It's a it's the work that you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
It's passion and
Yeah.
purpose.
Yes.
I'll also add, go to YouTube and just type in Elise Carter, Elise, and you will find a 3-minute video about the award and get to see the work in action and get to see some of the young adults out there doing the work. And
Yeah.
it's definitely something to see.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, those of you heard Elise standing in her purpose and her integrity and lit up. She is glowing and she is doing what she is meant to be doing for herself, for her community, for her kids, and for our future. Here are 5 key takeaways for our conversation. 1, turning pain into purpose. Elise's journey from classroom controversy to nonprofit founder reminds us that rejection can be a redirection towards deeper impact. When one door closes, another opens. 2, from ally to co-conspirator. Elise challenges us to move beyond passive support and take bold, actionable steps to stand up for marginalized communities, one brave act at a time. Number 3, food as a gateway to connection. Elise uses shared meals as a way to open difficult conversations about race, history, and belonging, showing how culture can be a catalyst for unity. 4, leadership through facilitation. Rather than sit and get, Elise teaches her students to lead through community projects and real-world experience, giving them the confidence and preparedness to thrive in our diverse global society. And number 5, curiosity and empathy as superpowers. Elise models how curiosity and humility opens hearts and minds and creates space for true understanding. Well, that ends this meaningful episode that inspires us to take action and notice and do something when something needs to be done. Now, as you've heard, we are bringing back Sitting Down with Dr. Dan episodes where I answer your questions. And we're going to do it a little differently this time. We want to hear your voice. So please send us an audio file or a video file of your question, and we will read it during the show. Please send those to podcast@drdanpeters.com. But if you want to do it the old school way and type in your question, you can just DM us on social media at Dr. Dan Peters, or also send us an email to podcast@drdanpeters.com. Send us anything about life, living, possibility, purpose, potential, and anything else you're thinking about. And I'll take a stab at answering them. I so like being connected to you guys and in conversation. Let's make this meaningful. Let's keep it real. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please share this with everyone that you know and you think will benefit from hearing this conversation, getting them thinking, opening us all up to leaning in to those hard conversations. There's opportunities every day to have them, and we can lean in with courage, and we can lean in with respect, and we can lean in with curiosity. Let's all do that. Thanks for being a part of our community, for your 5-star reviews, for subscribing. And you know what I'm going to leave you with? We have this moment, this day, and this life. Let's make it a great one. This has been a Peters and Rossi production. Make It a Great One with Dr. Dan is produced by Laura Rossi. Our engineer is Phil Rossi. Theme music is Uplifting Folk by Awesome Music. Artwork by Kelly Dwyer. Follow us on social media at Dr. Dan Peters. For more information, visit drdanpeters.com.